So I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation. Ay, pues me estaba saltando.
Abordagens e também.
So there's regarding especially the study of conscience and the human spirit. There's a section in the Gospel by John saying, wise are those who came and didn't and believed without seeing, and this had to do with the prosecution of the first Christians. And now we can say that we are much more fortunate for this opportunity and more blessed for this opportunity of seeing just what many generations that came before us had just with faith. Now we have proof, and we know it's not a blind faith, and it's nothing based on something that nurtures hatred and fundamentalism. And also, who wouldn't like to feel in a clear, sharp way, and also knowing for sure the truth you always had an intuition on and you always believed. And this is what we can do from ayahuasca, which is where the secrets have been placed for centuries and millennia, opening the doors to our understanding and helping us understand the mystery of the creation of the universe and nature and life. So in order to understand that mystery, it's not enough to just expand your conscience. You also need to expand your heart. You need to push the limits of our psyche, going beyond the purely psychological level of the so-called spirituality. Precisely on this point where there is this quantum transfer between micro and macro, the whole and the part, what we could also call a legitimate mystical experience. Well, this sacred experience we get from ayahuasca is not limited to a certain religious creed or a certain religious ritual with a communion. I've had the opportunity in the last 40 years that I've been working with this plant within a Christian religious confession of Santo Daime. I had the opportunity to see many interesting things, to meet many interesting people, not just the ones that were going to convert to a certain doctrine, but also people from other beliefs, from other creeds that came through their experience with ayahuasca, and they saw in ayahuasca a way to somehow rescue their original beliefs and the original faith. It is precisely because of that ayahuasca is considered to be sacred and holy in our Western culture all the way since the 19th century, and with the experiments that have been performed afterwards. And it is an instrument for culture universally, appealing to more people that are researchers and explorers throughout the planet. So for centuries, this valuable heritage of mankind was limited to the peoples of the Amazon, all the way from the Incas, that protected it, and they really fulfilled their role. But all that millenary wisdom accumulated didn't save them from slavery or from the physical and cultural genocide they suffered. Still, this treasure was concealed and kept in the jungle for a long time. But as our hymn says, there's nothing covered that cannot be discovered. And it was that same superior power that revealed the combination of these two plants to our ancestors, and that's what brought this plant to the present. And I'm saying this because this mysterious ayahuasca is capable of many prodigies. It elevates our mind, it heals our traumas, it pushes and boosts our love to ourselves and the others. It increases our ability to forgive. It burns out our karma. So many things we can't possibly ignore. It is something really valuable to reach farther threshold of our conscience. And not just that, but without that conscience, it is impossible to find a way out to our current planet-wide crisis, which is endangering our biosphere and, together with it, mankind as a species. It is an intense struggle, and our conscience is the stage on which all of this is happening. It might be the ultimate stage on which this battle will be fought, and we should be protected by it to avoid the tyrannical imposition of algorithms. After all these millions of years of natural selection, maybe human beings were born with a manufacturing flaw. Who's to blame? The evolution of species or some incompetent and irresponsible demiurge? Well, I believe this is rooted in our mind, or better yet, in the configuration of our brain, formed with the will to advance and make progress. And ayahuasca provides us with a way forward and a path for that transformation to occur in time to save the planet. Because nowadays, we can't wait for long. We can't wait for many more incarnations to reach this illumination. And ayahuasca also gives us a more democratic access to spiritual revelation. So I also wanted to speak about spirituality and community. Before tackling that issue, I would like to pay a tribute, pay homage to first the native peoples of America, of our Americas, the custodians also represented in this conference. Secondly, the Master Raimundo Irineu Serra, and also Gabriel da Costa and Pereira de Matos, the founding members of ayahuasca, and particularly Mota de Melo, my master, and his wife, Rita Gregoria. She's our elder and counselor. So Irineu, he performed the synthesis between the millenary wisdom of ayahuasca and a new Christianism in the jungle. It's surprising how these people subdued by Christianism that colonized these peoples, in the end, well, they ended up recovering and getting back the strength of primal Christianism, and they gave us the doctrine of the Santo Daime. And then on the other hand, as my padrino Sebastián, he was courageous enough to expand and spread this doctrine to all. We could even consider he's one of the people responsible for this great meeting in this encounter we are holding here today. Sebastián Mota de Melo, Padrino Sebastián, as he is affectionately known amongst his followers, is the founder of our church, Ice Flu, and the line of the Santo Daime. He opened 2 new facets, 2 new lines from the main notions, the foundings of the church left by Master Irineo. And first there was the line of unity, and this was given to the doctrine as well. And this is why we can talk about this here today. So then, on the other hand, he really stressed the forming of spiritual communities in the jungle. His motto was new world, new people, new life, and new system. It was these words in this order, and for that to happen, he said that the Santo Daime peoples needed to form communities, and he even thought this was the most important part of his mission. So receiving in the jungles, in the forests, these people, and he said Daime would lodge him, would welcome them, and he was also a prophet and a visionary. He conceived this city as the modern time Jerusalem. For him, the community was also the laboratory where all the members could bring in the best of their reflections and ideas and revelations for the practical life so that they could share with each other. At the same time, this was created as a heritage of all, and it supported the inner work of each one of them, and this self-knowledge would bring clarity and wisdom to the spiritual trend itself, and also more openness to the others, to our brothers and sisters in daily struggles. So we put that in practice, and we strengthen our community cohabitation between the individuals, and we reach new thresholds, new levels, and we strengthen our unity bonds and friendship bonds. And this individual healing and collective healing at the same time is also part of the healing of the planet we were talking about. And we must not forget that in order for that to happen, it is necessary to sacralize the use of ayahuasca, to make it sacred. Even if you don't follow any institutionalized religious movement, as it is the case for us, it is still important that the goal is some spiritual improvement and development of the world. We are, though, talking about this community of spiritual seekers, and this means that each and every one of us should make a commitment to our own visions. We call it Mirasao. It is not just about enjoying these experiences as spectators, as sheer spectators, regardless of whether they're pleasant or not. The most important thing above all is to become the center of the revelations we receive through the use of ayahuasca, and seeming the transformations we are requested. Only through transforming our behavior and our coherence, we learn from these truths, and they become as true to everyone, and they reach everyone's hearts. Another mystery of the Santo Daime, which is difficult to explain, is the following. Everything you experience in the visions sometimes is a sign of alert, preparation to face a similar situation we're going to be confronted with in life. And this takes up in this way our ordinary conscience level, the way in which we interact with the visions prepares us to then choose the best possible path when that happens in life. The project of Padrino Sebastián, new life, new system, this new Jerusalem of modern times he would always speak about, is actually quite simple. It's about looking for a less complicated life, praying, eating together, living together in harmony, planting your own food, protecting the jungle, the Yagube, taking care of the sacramental life, and drinking the Santa Daime in the church in spiritual ceremonies. Padrino Sebastián also defined spiritual life like this. He said spirituality is respect. It is a fundamental learning in the current times when we feel more than ever the need for unity between all ayahuasquero communities in order to defend the common interest and defend the freedom of religion we have struggled for many years for. Another aspect of the doctrine of Padrino Sebastián is the dimension, the millenaristic dimension. He always speaks all the time about this ultimate balance, and the community organized like this would be really important to absorb the impact of that balance. And it has also been said, by the way, that this is about to happen. Apparently, both the older prophecies and the newer science agree on the fact that something's changing in that regard, and I believe that all of us that follow ayahuasca and Santa Daime could feel the same thing at some point in our sessions, an alert, a call that got in the deep in our conscience as a dark cloud fed by the recklessness of those who have the political power. So this community being a collective subject for salvation, a united people faced to whatever the future holds. However, there are some fundamentalist lines that announce the Armageddon and the apocalypse. But when Padre Sebastián heard that, he said, we have to plant potatoes. And he saw that balance as a new beginning in which the spiritual struggle, the spiritual battle will be fought together with the material battle, and our link and our bond to nature is always important. So construction and building, and he grew in the Amazon jungle with his long white beard, and he also liked to speak seriously, not just he wasn't joking all the time. He was disciplined. He was also an environmentalist, a natural-born environmentalist, and he knew the jungle well. He knew the beings that live in the jungle. Then he founded a community in the 70s around Rio Branco. At that time, many backpackers and seekers and visitors came by from different parts of the country and beyond. And then in 1980, the community moved to a village called, a place called Rio Douro, which was actually quite difficult to access, as you can see in the picture. It was an epic, it was a feat to reach that community, actually. And in that place, there's something important about it, that in 1982, there was a visit by a commission led by Coronel Guarino, commander of the engineering battalion of Rio Branco, and for the first time he did something about legalizing daime, and this was in the military election time of Brazil, and that was the start of the fight for the legalization of our sacramental drink. And then it went on with the release of the ban of the prohibition, and in 1985 Confen also visited, and then there was the regularization in 2006 with the CONAT seminar, and then it was finally regulated in 2010, and the epic journey of these people went on. And then after a number of issues with the land in 1983, land property problems and land disputes where the village was, they moved again from Rio Douro to a place called Carapé Mapia, where to this date we have the headquarters of our movement. This was a quite equality-based community. Everyone would work the land. They would grow the seringa for financial gain, and it grew with the help of the churches built at that time in the southeast of the country and then abroad, also spreading the doctrine. And this growth also involved a number of challenges we're still fighting: social challenges, financial challenges, environmental challenges. So since the beginning of this new millennium, we have been investing increasingly on the preparation of the coming generations for social education, participatory methods, trying to interact with all other existing communities in the world, regardless of whether they are ayahuasquera or not, and also with the Covillas global network, the Covillas global network, of which we are party. So in spite of all the setbacks and difficulties, the dream of Padrino is still there, and we hope we can make it true, not just for the village of Mapia, but in other daime-based communities in the Amazon area, in the Zurua Valley, the place where Padrino was born, and in other places such as the community I lead, Deseo da Montaña. This is in Rio de Janeiro. So what's the conclusion we can draw from all of this? Well, first, that ayahuasca is a significant tool to transform human conscience in these times we live in. And that means that it can be, it is more powerful when it is in the within a community where a spiritual practice is followed. The planet needs communities, these self-sustained human communities, cultivating the values of solidarity and altruism, compassion and charity. These are the best alternatives we can pursue faced to the possibility of having this balance I was telling you about because of the value crisis our civilization is undergoing. self-sustained communities will always go against the system, because the system makes it difficult for them to exist. And without a strong link in the spiritual access, they resist pressures, because otherwise they will have a short life. This is why ayahuasca and daime proved to be something really significant, not just for them, not just for the religious, for the individual growth, but also for the growth of these communities. And to conclude, the great Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh insists on the importance of these spiritual communities, and he even said that the coming of Buddha in the future, that might not be a person, but it might be incarnated in the community itself. So it might be a community, not just the person. And to end in a more eclectic way and with a somewhat poetic license, all of this we are discussing here with the presence of all of these organizations and groups and churches and tribes in these rooms. I would like to paraphrase the well-known philosopher of the 19th century: seekers of the world, unite. Thank you very much.